How can a person possibly be comforted for losing a child? There is no human comfort. We even in the blessings say, Hamakom vayinachem otcha. Hashem should comfort you. A human being can't offer comfort. The Sfarim say, Mina shamayim tenucham, you should be comforted from heaven. What possible human comfort can there be? And here we are on Shabbat Nechamu Ami, the Shabbat after Tisha B'Av, the Shabbat of comfort. How can a human being be comforted? I recently shared the platform in the city of David on Tisha B'Av night with Iris Chaim, who lost her son Yotam, and she was saying she struggles with the word comfort. What comfort can there be? What does it mean to be litnachem, to be comforted? What does the word comfort mean? I want to share with you a total paradigm shift about what comfort means to me, something I never ever would have thought of, that only dawned on me last Tisha B'Av. You see, says Rashi, when you look back, before Rashi, when you look at the very first time the word nechama is mentioned in the Torah, it's regarding Noah in the most unusual way. It says vayinachem Hashem, that Hashem, God, was vayinachem asher asat Adam. God regretted creating Adam. You see, the first time it used the word nechama in the Torah regarding humanity, it says at the end of Parashat Bereishit that God regretted creating humanity and therefore, heaven forbid, destroyed the world. What does this mean that God regretted? In fact, Rashi so much so says that every time you see the word nechama, nichum, ein nichum, ela shinui machshava, that nechama means a changing of mind, because we see a God change his mind. And every time it says the word nechama, nichum in the Torah, it's got to do with changing of mind. When I learned this for the first time, I said, what could this possibly mean? How can it be that comfort has got to do with changing a mind? I would have thought on the contrary. After all, when you go to a house of mourning, you're not supposed to say anything. There's no words that you can possibly say to comfort somebody. We need to keep quiet, empathize with them. Empathize means being with them in their time of difficulty, not saying anything, certainly not to trying to change anyone's mind. What can it possibly mean that comfort has got something to do with changing of the mind? As Rashi says, every time you see the word nechama, nichum in the Torah, it's got to do with changing one's mind. And then all of a sudden it dawned on me, you see, when I realized what happened to me 48 hours after we knew that Daniel was missing and probably taken captive, and Jonathan had been injured, and I didn't know what to do with myself. All of a sudden I had thought. I said to myself, thank God, Jonathan was saved. And all of a sudden I said to myself, how am I able to say, thank God, Jonathan was saved, after I've got a son, Daniel, who is missing and probably taken captive? But the moment somehow I was able to reframe what happened and say, yes, Daniel is probably taken captive. And yes, we've got anxiety, God knows what will be. But there was also thanksgiving in this day. There was also some light at the end of the tunnel. Yes, the light and the thanksgiving for Jonathan's survival has got nothing to do with the fact that Daniel is facing and we are facing such a difficult challenge. But the fact that I was able to see at that moment not only the pain, the darkness, the angst, the anxiety, the suffering, but also an element of gratitude. That perception of shifting the paradigm, of seeing a world with darkness and light, a world with pain and suffering, but also with hope and with thanksgiving, made me realize that things were different. And then I realized after I learned this Rashi, now I understand, nechama has got something to do with shifting our perspective. Yes, it doesn't bring our child back, but the meaning we see in that, the ability to see life from a broader prism and perspective, brings a level of shifting of paradigm and comfort. And this is exactly what Rabbi Akiva, when Rabbi Akiva saw the destruction of the temple and all of the sages, it says at the end of my quote, said to him, Akiva, why are you laughing? He was laughing and smiling when he saw the degree of destruction. And he said to them, why are you crying? They were all crying. He said, well, we're crying because the temple has been destroyed and there are foxes walking in it. It's terrible. And famously, Rabbi Akiva said to them, do you know why I'm smiling and laughing? Because if the terrible prophecies of Puranut, of retribution, took place to the T, to such a degree that I know for sure that the prophecies of rebuilding and redemption will happen. And they famously said to him, B'hai Lishna, they said to him, Akiva nichamtanu, Akiva nichamtanu, Akiva, you have comforted us. Akiva, you have comforted us. You have comforted us because you showed us that in the depth of the pain and suffering and the darkness, you've seen that Hashem has not left us. And just as there's been so much destruction as was prophesied before, so too will there be rebuilding. And therefore it's looking at Jewish life and our personal and collective circumstances through the sweep of history, that we live in God's world and not our own. And in God's world there is comfort, and in God's world there is a broad perspective, and we are never alone. And with all of the pain and suffering, yes, we live with the suffering, but we need not be defined by it. We don't get over it, but we get on with it. With it meaning we get on with the suffering, because in God's world there is always comfort, there is always hope. And therefore, if a person's able to shift their perspective, it doesn't change the fact that there is darkness, but it makes one realize that there is darkness, there is light, there is pain, but there is hope. Jewish history is littered with so much pain, but also with incredible hope. We're able to shift our perspective and see the world through God's eyes, through the world through eyes of hope and of knowing that it's going to turn out for the best. It doesn't bring and take away the darkness and bring our loved one back, but it allows us to live with hope, to get on with living with God and living with life. And that brings comfort when we're able to shift our perspective and see the world that we live in, not our world, but God's world. Shabbat Shalom.